우리나라 교회는 청소년들이 많이 사라졌다고 하죠. 주일학교도 그렇고 중고등부 또 청년부들도 예전 같지가 않다고 합니다. 그렇지만 이스라엘에 있는 메시아닉주들이 모이는 모임이나 집회 장소에 가면은 우리나라 교회와는 정반대의 그런 모습들을 볼 수가 있습니다. 어린아이들도 여기저기 많이 뛰어다니고 또 중고등부 청년들이 그 자리를 가득 메우는 그런 모습들을 볼 수가 있죠. 지금 이스라엘의 메시아닉 주의시 이쪽 세계는 계속 성장하고 젊은 피들이 많이 모여들고 있다, 이렇게 표현할 수가 있습니다. 그 메시아닉 주의시들 중에서도 또 음악을 사랑하고 찬양을 하는 이 뮤지션들이 작년 2월 달에 한 자리에 모이는 그런 모임을 결성했다고 하는데요. 그 모임을 주관하신 분이 샤니 소르크란 퍼거슨 씨인데, 그분이 지금은 예슈아 이스라엘 선교의 또 대표이시기도 하고요. 음악 스튜디오를 운영하시는 분인데, 오늘은 제가 그분이 운영하고 있는 이 음악 녹음실에 왔습니다. 오늘은 이스라엘 메시아닉 주의시들 중에서 뮤지션들의 이야기를 좀 들어보도록 하죠. 반갑습니다. 이렇게 초청해 주셔서.
Welcome.
먼저 이곳 녹음실이 굉장히 제가 보기에도 아름답게 이렇게 꾸며져 있는데, 여기서 주로 어떤 작업들을 하고 있습니까?
My husband and I have prayed for a place where we could train and disciple and mentor the creatives in our land for 20 years. And a couple years ago, this place opened up to us. The focus of the Fellowship of Artists is to raise up those who will create music, create art, have a place for them where they can do it without the exorbitant costs, and have a place where there's a rhythm of creating. So instead of having a place where people come and get involved in an intensive project and then they go home, and then a year later or 2 years later they may come back, we have a place where people can come on a regular basis. They're coming every week, they're creating music every week, and we're creating worship songs, and the richness of what we are providing them and the richness of what they're able to create is really amazing. So the studio is a ministry center and a hub for Israelis to come and create worship.
그럼 지금 이스라엘의 메시아닉 주의시가 운영하는 이렇게 녹음실, 스튜디오, 여기 말고 또 있습니까?
There are several people around the country who have home studios in their basement. There's a place up north. We also have a studio up in Haifa, a smaller one, but also, so there are a few pockets, but this is definitely the largest and the one that has most options in terms of what we can have a live band here, in terms of space and equipment. It's definitely one of the top studios in the country, believing or non-believing.
그러면 우리가 알만한 이스라엘의 메시아닉주 찬양 가수, 예를 들어서 뭐 예슈아를이라든가 뭐 이런 사람들도 여기 와서 이렇게 녹음하고 이런 작업들을 많이 했습니까?
I will say that there are very well-known unbelieving musicians who have recorded here. Among the believing ones, Sarah Lieberman has recorded here, Karen Silver has recorded here, Mikedim has recorded here. The Sachnini brothers just recorded. They're 3 Arabs from Nazareth, and we just recorded their first album here. They've been involved with a lot of the Jewish bands or worship bands around the country, but this is their first album that they did. We just went to a conference last summer that had all the different worship leaders from around here, and pretty much everybody that was on stage had come here at some point and recorded. So.
전 세계로 퍼져나가는 메시아닉주 찬양 가수들의 음악들이 거의 대부분이 이곳에서 녹음이 되고 여기서부터 이제 시작돼서 쫙 퍼져나갔다, 이렇게 봐도 되겠죠?
Right. I would actually say it's not who hasn't recorded here, it's who hasn't recorded yet, because we plan on getting everybody.
굉장히 그 역사적인 현장에 지금 와 있는 듯한 그런 느낌이 드는데, 제가 조금 전에 이제 설명했듯이 그 작년에 이스라엘에 있는 아티스트들을 다 모은 그 아티스트를 위한 모임을 만드셨다고 그랬어요. 샤니 소르크랑 퍼거슨 씨가 모은 모임이다 보니까 음악적인 아티스트들을 이야기하는 것이 아닐까 이런 생각이 드는데, 어떻습니까? 어떤 종류의 아티스트들을 모은 것이고 그 모임이 무엇을 위한 모임이었습니까?
The Fellowship of Artists, which we did officially launch last year, even though we've been working on it for years. The idea is to create a network for musicians here in the country to work with each other on projects and connect them with musicians from outside the country that want to come and record in the city of worship, and they want to have Israeli musicians work on their project. But mostly what we saw is when we looked in congregations, we saw the musicians weren't always receiving the ministry that they needed. They were always pouring out, but they didn't have people like them. And so we were hoping to find across the country, and we did, other musicians who want friendships with people who are like them. And so we bring them together, we give them projects to work together, we meet together in groups, encourage each other, trade skills. And the idea is that musicians can disciple musicians on a spiritual level as well as on a skill level, and that creates for a healthier community.
그래서 처음에 모이자 그랬을 때 몇 명 정도 모였고 지금은 어느 정도 사람들이 모이고 있습니까?
The first one we had 50 or 60, I think. Most of what we're doing is throughout the year in projects, but we have connected with, I would say, 100 at least all over the country, people that want to be involved in the Fellowship of Artists. The idea is to have young and old, because obviously the older musicians have more experience with dealing with being a musician, and they have a lot of spiritual depth, and in Jewish culture understood that young generations and old generations should be very connected. They don't have this separation of, the young people go over there and the old people go over there. In Jewish culture, the holidays, everything always involves children and older people, so it's very much in our heart to have that. As a healthy community, you have to have the older and the younger together.
그럼 그렇게 모이는 뮤지션들이 전부 다 메시아닉 주이시들을 이야기하는 겁니까? 아니면 메시아닉이 아닌 일반 주이시들도 이렇게 포함되는 겁니까?
The idea is to get people who are not believers to see our healthy community, and they can be involved in it. But right now, the focus is to strengthen those who are believers. We do work with unbelieving musicians, sometimes bring them in for projects on instruments that we don't have a believing musician. That also serves as a time to share with them what it is we're creating, why we're worshiping.
그러면 제일 나이 어린 분은 몇 살이고 제일 나이 드신 분은 몇 살입니까?
We just had a choir of children, I think in age 8 or 9, that were working on a children's project. And the oldest was in their 80s. To me, it's very fun to work with the different personalities, the different generations. Even more fun to see young people who really need fathers and mothers grow close to the fathers and mothers in the faith.
아무리 예슈아 이름 아래 다 모인다고는 하지만 그래도 뮤지션들이란 말입니다. 나름대로 각자 개성들이 있고 또 추구하는 음악의 장르와 방향이라든가 이런 것들이 다 다를 텐데, 어떤 사람은 나는 레게 음악을 하고 싶다, 나는 랩을 하고 싶다, 아니면 나는 어떤 발라드를 하고 싶다, 재즈를 하고 싶다, 이런 식으로 음악하는 방식이 다를 텐데, 그렇게 모여서 모임을 가질 때 혹시 의견 충돌이 일어나거나 그러진 않습니까?
There's always opinions when artists get together, but usually we have a person who's in charge. It's their project, or there's a producer who's in charge, and we defer to that person. So we might say, hey, this is our opinion, it should go like this, or maybe we can add this, and the person decides whether they want it or not. So we haven't really had real conflict in that. I think everyone is so excited to come in here and create. There's no real conflict in that. The idea is we want to create something that is beautiful and excellent for the Lord. So if it goes a little like this or a little like that, it's not an ego thing. In Israel, don't become superstars. We're a very small country. We have a very small market, and we actually have no market in the country. Very, very, very tiny. And then sometimes it gets out and people around the world find out about it, but it's not very well known. And so there's not a lot of ego that goes into into the project. We have had some times where younger musicians that are just getting started, insist that, something should be a certain way. And, we let them make their decision because it's their project, and then they will realize later on why it probably wasn't a good idea. But nothing terrible.
이제까지 알려지지 않았던 새로운 메시아닉주 찬양 가수들이 더 많이 이 모임에 참가하게 될 거라고 보십니까?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we are fine. Every time we do a project, we discover there's a new Messianic believer that plays this instrument that we didn't know about, or that instrument. We just discovered several in the last few weeks. Fellowship of Artists is actually starting a label, specifically because in Israel, there's issues getting on iTunes and the different platforms because of the language. So they've been bumping off music in Hebrew that doesn't have a label. But if you're a Messianic Jew, Israeli companies don't want you on their label. And so we're essentially just starting one so that the musicians have a way to get their music out.
말씀하셨던 것처럼 이스라엘은 작은 나라인데 그렇게 뮤지션들이 이제 점점 많이 늘어나면은 시장을 더 넓혀야 될 것 같아요. 그런 쪽으로도 이렇게 함께 모여서 머리를 맞대고 연구하면은 또 새로운 무슨 방법이 나올 수도 있을 것 같은데 그런 시도도 하고 있죠.
Yes, we have a lot of ideas. I believe that Israel was called to be a worship leader to the world. I believe that Israel was called to be a light to the world in so many different ways. And in the secular world, you see that. Even before Israel has been restored spiritually, you see in the medical field and in science and humanitarian aid, you see Israel is doing good. But I think more so in the spiritual sense, there's been a lot of Israel in its infancy, the body here in its infancy has needed a lot of prayer covering and help and support from the church worldwide. Israel is supposed to now bless the world with the worship from the city where it all began. And I think that very much so the musicians will increase, the quality of their music will increase, and largely because they're going to be able to focus on just creating music. That's a very big part of our vision, because right now you have a musician who's excellent, very crafted, and they spend 40 hours a week working in the most simple jobs in construction or in a store or in sales, and then they come and want to create something beautiful. So we have a lot of ideas specifically about getting individual musicians to be able to live off being musicians so that they can come in and constantly develop their skill, develop their creativity so that worship music from Israel will be one of the top genres in the world.
우리 샤니 소르크람 퍼거슨 씨도 찬양 사역자이신데 그것뿐만 아니라 어머니도 슈라 소르크람, 우리가 잘 알고 있는 마우즈 이스라엘 진행자이시죠. 또 아버지는 아리 소르크람 씨고 부모님이 이제 이 메시아닉 주이시로서 이스라엘에서 큰 사역을 담당하시는 그 사역자이신데 부모님의 영향도 물론 있었겠지만 어떻게 이렇게 이스라엘에서 메시아닉 주로서 찬양 가수로서 길을 걷게 되었는지 그 계기를 좀 설명해 주시죠.
My father was an actor. He did a little bit of singing, but it wasn't his specialty. My mother played the piano, and she was a film director. So I would say that media was something that I grew up around, understanding that it was a tool to use to communicate. My grandmother always told me to sing when I was a child, but whose grandmother doesn't? I think I was in my late 20s when the worship leader in my parents' congregation said they wanted to go on vacation for the holidays, and the congregation wanted to do an outreach at a festival. And so there was nobody to do the outreach at the festival because they wanted to go on vacation. And so I said, okay, I'll get these musicians and we will do some songs at the festival. And we really bonded with the musicians. I like to work with a team. I feel like I'm an orchestra leader. I always want to pull out the giftings out of the musicians rather than say, you do this, and you follow me and I'll play, right? So I like to draw that out. And so the musicians we were working with really liked that. And when we did the outreach, at the end, the people from the congregation said, we want a CD of the songs you did at the outreach. And so that's how we started recording. And then after we recorded that, they said, okay, we want more. And so then we said, okay, well then let's sit and write some songs, not just do congregational songs, but write songs that are singing the scriptures, and it's not just worship song, but it's worshipful. So the message in it gives glory to God, but it might have more lyrics than you would have in a regular song.
그런가 하면 또 직접 찬양 CD도 냈어요. 그 가든 오브 시크릿이라는 음반도 내셨는데 본인이 낸 음반 좀 자세하게 설명 좀 해주시죠.
After we did the festival, we had essentially translated some songs from English, which is very common in Israel because you don't have a lot of people writing worship in Hebrew. People were really excited about it because, and this was really, my parents had this vision. They wanted to see, media. They understood the power of media. And so we said, let's sit down and think about the different topics that we want to sing over Israel. We want to sing about God's personal love and romance with us. So we wrote one song about that. We want to sing about his strength and power, and he's our defense. So we wrote a song about that. So we looked at scriptures that were in Hebrew, and we kind of translated them into a modern Hebrew, because a lot of Israelis don't know the scriptures because, well, certain parts you can read the storyline and understand, and certain parts are just very ancient Hebrew and therefore very difficult to understand. And so the Garden of Secrets was essentially, these are songs that we want to sing over Israel, and they're kind of a blend of fusion and rock and Latin and a little bit of Middle Eastern sounds. At the time when it came out, it was probably the best quality of recording for young Israelis in the country, because we had electric guitars and we had Middle Eastern instruments and we had South American instruments, and our musicians were actually Brazilians who had immigrated to Israel as Jews. Just a lot of life and textures. Some people, when they think Messianic Jewish music, then they think it's going to sound a certain way. And they're usually thinking about American Messianic Jewish music. So music in Israel is very different. It was a real breakthrough album. It was a young sound. It was something that young Israeli believers would be happy to listen to in their car. And it was something that even non-believers would take and listen. I had a mother of one of my children say she went to India to find herself, and she took my album with her to play on her journey. And she said, I don't agree with everything you were saying, but your essence was with, it was beautiful. And so she couldn't even describe with words the presence of God, but that's what she was sensing. So it's a very powerful album. We then translated a few of the songs into English, which rarely happens, where you write a song in Hebrew and then you translate it into English. But we had some people, English speakers, who said, we love the songs, but we don't know what you're saying. So we have a Hebrew version and an English version. And then we also have a Hebrew version that has just a few songs in English. It says things to Israelis that they've never considered before. One of the songs is called Garden of Secrets, and it's from the Song of Solomon. And it describes the romance between Solomon and his bride, but we took it and kind of modernized it in modern Hebrew, and it's the romance of a king with his bride. So a lot of people have found healing in that, and just let it just kind of wash over them. That's kind of how, when I wrote the songs, that's what I was thinking, as I just want people to listen and feel like it's just washing over them.
이제 샤니 씨의 CD를 100장을 우리가 구입을 해서 한국에 가져가서 우리 브래드 TV 시청자들에게 판매하려고 그러는데 그 CD를 구입하는 분들에게 우리 샤니 씨가 감사 인사 말씀 한마디 해주시죠.
I really hope that you get a chance to listen to Garden of Secrets. It has something special in it that is uniquely from Israel. It has flavors of music from Jews from all over the world that have returned to the land, and it was specifically written to an Israeli audience. So I would love for you to get a chance to listen and kind of get a flavor of what it's like to be in Israel and listen to the scriptures being sung over you.
이스라엘에서 예수님을 믿는 우리 메시아닉 빌리버들이, 메시아닉 주시들이 한 자리에 모여서 찬양하고 그 찬양하는 사람들이 또 이렇게 연합하는 그런 모습들을 보니까 굉장히 기분도 좋고 기대가 됩니다. 앞으로 그 모임이 끊이지 않고 계속 활성화돼서 더 많은 메시아닉 주시들, 이 뮤지션들이 참여하는 그런 아주 귀한 모임이 되기를 바라겠습니다. 오늘 이렇게 귀한 시간 내주시고 귀한 이야기 해주셔서 고맙습니다.
Thank you.